Hi, it's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours. Me versus ChatGPT. I spend time on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern answering questions from people about job search, hiring, management, leadership, career transition, or if you want advice about a particular workplace issue, just put your questions into chat. Today, it's going to be me versus ChatGPT, and I'm going to be answering questions first so that in this way I'm not influenced by the chatbot. So I'll just simply say, if you've got a question for me, put it into chat. I'd be happy to answer it for you today, and will allow you to cut the line over people who have messaged in advance. I'll also say, if you're here on LinkedIn, I don't know that you're on LinkedIn because StreamYard and LinkedIn don't provide me with those numbers. So if you're here and want to say hi, I'd love to hear from you. Just say hi in chat so I can acknowledge you. Okay. And I'm also on YouTube, so if you want to put a message in there as well. Jordan, I'm doing great. Hope you are as well. Thanks for saying hi. I appreciate it. And if anyone wants to connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn, you can do that at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. And yes, I do remember we are connected on LinkedIn. Thank you for making sure about that. So for those of you who are here and not connected to me, or your second or third level connections, you can follow me or connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. My website, thebiggamehunter.us, is a tremendous resource as well. And what you can do very simply there is schedule time for a free discovery call, which is really, it's an introductory call with me to figure out whether you're interested in my coaching you. You can visit my blog, which has more than 12,000 searchable posts. Find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's a lot there to help. I'll mention one of the courses in particular, which I call the Ultimate Job Interview Framework, which teaches how to interview incredibly well. And it's an easy framework for interviewing. It's really what I charge $300 for as a coach. And I believe it's available for rent or purchase, and very inexpensive, a lot less than if I teach it to you personally. So again, that course is the Ultimate Job Interview Framework. And let's see now, we've got, I'm going to come to you in a second, and we're going to also, Dorothea, hi, how are you? Happy New Year to you as well. And anyone, if you've got a question for me, ChatGPT and I will answer it for you. Okay. So just very simply, I'll say, you can also subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube. Follow, download the app for Amazon. Watch me on BingeNetworks.tv, which goes to 300 plus streaming services. And also subscribe to No BS Job Search Advice Radio and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, where it's a video podcast, Google Play, all the usual suspects. It's been on hiatus since mid-December because I'm entitled to take a break. I did over 200 episodes last year. It's the #1 podcast in Apple Podcasts for job search. Again, more than 2,500 episodes. It's been on the air for 12 years. 12 years so far. So I hope I don't mispronounce your name. Abdul Rahman. I have always have fear to go out of my comfort zone. Thank you. Any advice about this issue? So the simplest thing I would say to you is ask yourself, what can go wrong? What's the worst case scenario for what can go wrong? What might happen to you? Would you embarrass yourself? Are you afraid of being fired? Like, if it's a personal matter, what's the worst thing that can happen? Let's acknowledge that as a possibility. Probably not a probability, but a possibility. And in doing that, I'll just simply say, once you realize what the likelihood is of this worst case scenario occurring, it starts to lose its power. It starts to lose its influence. And thus, the simplest thing I would say is start having a conversation with yourself about what might happen. So that in this way, you can anticipate it and be prepared for it and not be surprised by it. So I'm now going to switch over to ChatGPT, where unfortunately I have to manually type this. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. How do I deal with my fear in many situations? It's a paraphrase of what you wrote, and I'm going to give ChatGPT that question. And it's starting to say fear is a natural and normal human emotion. And it can be a helpful response when it alerts us to potential dangers or helps us to stay safe. However, fear can also hold us back and prevent us from doing things that we want or need to do. If you're struggling with fear in many situations, there are a few things you can try that may help. Number one is identify the source of your fear. Try to understand what is causing it. Is it a specific object or situation, or is it a more general feeling of anxiety? Understanding the source of your fear can help you better address it. Number two, challenge your negative thoughts. Our thoughts can contribute to our feelings of fear. Try to identify any negative or irrational thoughts you may have and challenge them with evidence or alternative perspectives. I like that one. Number three, gradually expose yourself to your fear. If your fear is specific to a particular object or situation, you may be able to gradually expose yourself to it in a controlled way. This can help you to build up your confidence and reduce your fear over time. Number four, and there's one more after this, seek support. Talk to a trusted friend or family member about your fear, or consider seeking the help of a mental health professional. They can provide you with additional tools and strategies for dealing with your fear. And number five, practice relaxation techniques. Deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, and meditation are all relaxation techniques that can help you to manage your fear and reduce anxiety. ChatGPT's answer was much more detailed than mine. I basically took it to the what's the worst thing that can happen scenario to see whether that might help you allay your fears or concerns. Uh, and let's just see. I want to make sure. Um, so, Jordan, I'll just simply say go to my website, thebiggamehunter.us. You'll see an option where you can schedule time with me and just put yourself on my calendar, okay? So let's go to the first question that was sent to me in advance. And if anyone here has a question for me, you can put it into chat. I'd be very happy to answer it. And you're very welcome. I'm happy to do that. Okay. Let's see now. Next question is, what do you do at the time of an interview when the recruiters do not follow the appointment time, which I'll interpret as being they don't show up for the interview or they're late for the interview? What do you do? I'll simply say what you do is give them 15 minutes, 10 minutes if you're more comfortable with that. I personally gave people 15 minutes if they were late with me before texting. When I do sessions on Zoom these days, If a person's 1 minute late, I'll send them a message via text and ask, are you running late or are you having trouble logging on? So the idea is you message them and just simply say, we were scheduled for 1 o'clock. Are you delayed in some way? Just ask a question and they'll realize that they're late and normally they'll respond to you. So just ask them if they're running late. So this way they can respond to your query and let you know where they are in this process. Uh, Sometimes people don't show up. Events happen, life happens, and it just gives you an opportunity to be gracious and just make sure they're okay. Now let's see what ChatGPT says. Bear with me while I go over there. And I now have to change the question, and I've submitted it. It's struggling with this question. If the recruiters do not follow the appointment time, I would first try to contact them to see if there has been a mix-up or if there is a reason for the delay. If I'm unable to reach them, I would wait patiently for a short period of time before deciding on a course of action. This could include rescheduling the interview for a different time or canceling the interview if necessary. It's important to communicate with the recruiters and be flexible in order to find a resolution that works for both parties. Not radically different than my answer, a little bit more texture to it than mine. I kept it pretty simple and again, pretty similar answers. Let's go to the next one, which is, bear with me 1 second. I'm juggling between. Cool. Jordan said he made an appointment for this Friday. Way to go, Jordan! Woohoo! So, is it a wise move to directly walk into a company's office and try to talk to HR for a job? If not, then what are the best alternatives? It is not a wise move to walk into a firm's offices and try to talk to HR about a job. Matter of fact, it's a rude move. It really is. It's rude of you to expect someone's going to drop everything and talk to you. They're not going to do that. You're going to be kept waiting for hours on end. You'll be told that someone's not available. Could you leave a resume? But I know when I still did recruiting, when people stopped by my office, and understand, I was a commissioned individual. I had an incentive to talk to people. First thing I would do is ask for a resume. I don't recall anyone who ever stopped by my office as having an appropriate background for my clients. And these days, coming to an office and dropping off a resume is an inconvenience. I wanted it emailed so this way it would parse into my system so I'd have an opportunity to follow up with this person on a later occasion. Who wants paper anyway? So it's rude. That's the long and the short of it. It's a rude behavior on your part. They expect people are just going to stop everything and talk to you. Try to network your way to the organization. Don't just stop by. Okay. And in networking, network to someone who hires and see if they can introduce you to the hiring manager, not the HR. HR doesn't hire, they reject. They facilitate processes, they handle meetings to coordinate the recruiting. They are not they don't actually hire. And I'll just remind you, if you got a question about job search, hiring, management, leadership, career transition, or want advice about a particular workplace issue, put your question into chat. I'd be very happy to answer it for you. And now let's see what ChatGPT says about this question. And bear with me. And I'm just going to change one thing. Try to, I just want to make sure I got the grammar right for ChatGPT. It's not typically a wise move to directly walk into a company office and try to talk to HR for a job. This approach may be perceived as aggressive or unprofessional. It may not be the most effective way to secure a job. Alternative approaches include applying for a job online through the company's website or job board. This is the most common and expected way for candidates to apply for a job. I'll interject, but not the most effective way. Connecting with HR or hiring managers through LinkedIn or other professional networking platforms. Yes, reaching out to HR or the hiring manager through email to express your interest in a job, inquire about current openings or future opportunities. Less good. Contacting the company through their customer service or general inquiries line to ask about job openings and how to apply. Not great. Seeking out job openings through job search websites or recruiting agencies. Of course, people don't need to be told to do that. They do that incessantly, even when they're not qualified. And it concludes by saying, in any of these cases, it's important to be professional and follow the company's guidelines for applying for a job. I'm going to detour here and say, and what really serves you best is doing something to cut the line to get to the front. Walking in and trying to force a meeting with someone to get an interview is not the ideal way to do it. It's an inconvenience. It really is. You may think that's what they're supposed to do. It really isn't. Their job is to fill jobs, and your job is to try and get interviewed. It only happens when there's a possible match and you're interrupting. They may be in a meeting. They may be interviewing someone else and have back-to-back scheduled, and you want attention. It's not a wise move. It's a rude move. So, next question. Oh, I loved this when it came in. What would you do? Oops, I dropped the coffee mug there, and I just pick it up for a second, and I'll deal with the coffee a little bit later. What would you do if your spouse applied for a job out of state and went on an interview without telling you? Whoa. Yeah, I saw this question. It was kind of stunning. Um, Now, I think the first thing I don't know the answer to is, did they tell you after the fact, or did you learn in a different way? Let's say a recruiter called up and said, "Hi, is so and so there? I've got news about their interview in Portland." And you live on the East Coast. Okay. I don't know how they snuck out to get to Portland, but they did. So if they came to you after the fact and said, "Honey, I didn't want to get you excited or nervous for me, but I interviewed with a job for a job in such and such location. And I know it's out of state. We haven't spoken about it, but it was really a great opportunity. And I wanted to see if I could get it." That's one thing. It's another thing if you find out indirectly because the recruiter called you up and said, "Hi, I'm so and so from such and such firm. Uh, and your wife, husband, partner did tremendously well with us. Really, where's the job located? Austin, Texas." And again, you live in Portland. I'll just simply say that's different than the first one. In the case of the first one, I would be upset, but they confessed. And I would follow up by asking, "I'm just curious, why didn't you ask me? Tell me about this beforehand. I could have helped you prep. It would give me time to think about this." And you basically tell them it was the wrong way to go about it. And the second way, I get angry because they didn't trust you enough to even tell you afterwards. You had to learn through an intermediary who's going to try and close your husband on the deal. No matter, the first one is better but bad. The second one is awful. And I would confront the second one hard and talk about how disappointed and angry I am that they interviewed for something and didn't tell me in advance. No time to adjust, no time to support. Is that what they expect the spouse to do? Is to shut up and take one for the team and not discuss it in advance. So, not something I would like. Now, let's go to ChatGPT and see what it thinks. So, what I always have to do is open up the writing pencil and punch in the question, save and submit. If my spouse applied for a job out of state and went on an interview without telling me, I'd be very upset and would feel hurt that they did not discuss this with me before making such a significant decision. I would want to have a conversation about the job and the potential move to understand the motivations and consider the impact it would have on our family and our relationship. I'm going to interject here and say this situation has hurt the relationship, obviously. The job hasn't hurt the relationship. The decision to interview without telling me has hurt the relationship. Back to the answer. I would also want to be involved in the decision making process and have a say in whether or not we pursue this opportunity. ChatGPT thinks that it is involved with making the decision. If my spouse did not want to include me in the process, it'd be a red flag for me, and I would want to address any underlying issues or concerns in our relationship. I think that addresses the second situation more than the first. I don't think it really distinguished between two possibilities here uh, and saw that there was much of a difference. So uh, I like my answer better on this one than ChatGPT's. And, you know, you may differ. That's okay. So let me just remind you that if you've got a question about job search, hiring, management, leadership, career transition, or want advice about a particular workplace issue, put your question into chat. I'd be very happy to answer it for you. Here's the next one. So I'm going to copy this one and come back over to put it into chat. When an interviewer asks why you were searching, gotta scroll there. Is it okay to say because your company got acquired and there are too many changes that do not align with your goals? Here's the problem with doing that. The follow up question to that is, what are your goals? Because they now want to know about your goals vis a vis what they can provide you with. And they can say, we're not going to be able to do that either. And now this situation is dead in the water too. So the long and the short of it is, it's not really the best way to do it. What I would say to you is, my firm was acquired. Normally, when there's an acquisition, there's a quiet period and then layoffs occur because the acquiring firm wants to create economies of scale. And by that, we're acquiring a firm. We don't need two HR departments. We don't need two public relations teams. We don't need all the people doing technology, for example. We may need to do a migration of the data, get it inputted into one centralized system. We may need 10% of the acquired firm's staff. And as such, I want to get ahead of the curve here and not wait for the layoffs to happen. What I want to do is be proactive, looking for something that makes sense for me rather than wait to be cut back on. That, I think, is a more effective answer because it resonates with HR people and with hiring managers. They know from their own experiences or that which they've heard from friends that this is a common occurrence. So I like that answer a lot better for you. Now, let's see what ChatGPT says. Yes, it's okay to mention that your company got acquired and the changes that resulted do not align with your goals as a reason for why you're searching for a new opportunity. However, it's important to also highlight any other reasons or goals that you have for your career and how the new opportunity aligns with them. Additionally, it's important to remain professional and not speak negatively about the company or the changes that were made. So we have some congruence in our answer, some dissimilarity. Um, Highlighting other reasons or goals that you have for your career and how the new opportunity aligns with these goals. You may not know enough at the time that they ask you to be able to do that second part, how the new opportunity aligns with those goals. Because, all you've done is read a job description, right? And job descriptions aren't always accurate. As a result, you don't want to put yourself in the position of talking about how a new opportunity aligns with your goals and then discover they don't. So I'll just simply say, I like my answer better than ChatGPT's. Its isn't bad, but I like mine better. I think I'm going to do one more question today, and I'm going to see uh, how it plays out. Okay. And I'll just remind you, if you've got a question for me, put it into chat. I'd be very happy to answer it. Okay. So for now, the last question is, if a recruiter does not respond to your message after a final interview, is it safe to assume you did not get the job? Now, I don't know how soon after the final interview you're contacting them. They may be interviewing multiple people. Not everyone's been in yet. They may also not have heard from the decision maker. There's lots of reasons why uh, they're stalling for time rather than communicating a lack of interest. So I don't buy into this. It's safe to assume you did not get the job conclusion that you have. I would just message them and say, sorry to be a pest. I hope you're not seeing me that way. And could you give me an idea of when I might get feedback after this interview? And they may say, oh, we've been trying to reach you and let you down. Or they may be saying, we need another few days. We have one more person to talk to, and then we'll have a decision. Whatever it is, it's not safe to assume you did not get the job. It is safe to assume they're stalling for time. And now let's see what ChatGPT says. And I just submitted. It's not necessarily safe to assume you did not get the job if the recruiter does not respond to your messages after a final interview. There could be various reasons for the lack of responses, such as the recruiter being busy with other tasks or the decision-making process taking longer than expected. It's always best to reach out to the recruiter and inquire about the status of your application. If you did not receive a response, you can follow up with the company to see if a decision has been made. That ending is kind of vanilla. Um, the beginning is okay. It's pretty similar to mine. And I'll just simply say that ending I did not care for. I didn't think it was particularly useful. Um, you know, yes, you're following up with the company to try and see if a decision's been made. You want feedback. Duh. That's what you're doing in making this outreach. So I'll just simply say, again, I like my answer a little better here. So I'll just simply say, I'm Jeff Altman. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I'll be back next Tuesday with more. You can always message me through LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the big game hunter. Mention that you saw me on the live stream. I like knowing I'm helping folks. And once we're connected, my network is a lot bigger than most other people's. Now, in addition, let's see now. Connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the big game hunter. Also, Visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us, to schedule time for a free discovery call, which is an introductory session with me, a coaching session, um, which is paid, of course, to visit my blog, which has more than 12,000 searchable posts, find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's a lot there that can help. Also, let's see now, I have to scroll a little bit further. Subscribe to JobSearchTV.com on YouTube. Download the app of the same name for Amazon. So whether you've got a Fire TV or a Fire Stick, you can watch the JobSearchTV.com app. Also, without the app, you can go to bingenetworks.tv and subscribe. Download the app and watch me there. And lastly, subscribe to No BS Job Search Advice Radio in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can watch me or listen to me there. I hope you have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.